Nikola Jokic for the second year in a row is going to win the NBA MVP. Now, it's not confirmed yet that Jokic is going to win the MVP, however, we have something that shows that he's going to. On Twitter, there's a link going around right now that is a spreadsheet to a tracker of all the NBA awards. And according to all my sources, it seems pretty legitimate, and if this is not legitimate, I don't know who would make this up. Now, all the ballots are not confirmed yet. There's about 30 to 40 ballots that they have not shown just yet. However, Jokic has an 80-point plus lead over Joel Embiid in MVP points, so it's more than likely Jokic is going to win. And for the second year in a row, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about Nikola Jokic and his MVP. Now, I've been defending Nikola Jokic this entire season, saying that I believe he was the NBA MVP since day one. And I won't lie, I really thought Embiid was gonna win. I didn't think they were gonna give it to Jokic again. And to be honest, I don't even know where the narrative changed if everyone knew Jokic was gonna win, but they kept trying to hype up other candidates. Regardless, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about Jokic, and I'm here to defend a couple of those things and kind of prove why they're just simply not true. Because a narrative got started that Nikola Jokic won the MVP only because of his advanced stats. I started to wonder where this narrative even got started, because obviously Nikola Jokic has amazing advanced stats, however, that's not why he won. And also, it's not like those advanced stats are like how many steps he took or what his eating percentage is. Box plus minus and true shooting percentage are important aspects of the game that really do determine how well a player is in certain aspects. It's obviously not the main picture, as normal stats like points and rebounds and field goal percentage do play a certain role into the game, but advanced stats are very important, so while he might have the best, it's not the only reason though why he was able to win. Now, I started to think how this narrative got started, because NBA Twitter itself is not smart enough to come up with this. Who actually hates Nikola Jokic this much? He's trying to deteriorate his MVP case for no reason, making a claim like this even though it's not even true. And after a not so thorough investigation, it didn't take me long to figure out who it was. Nick Wright has been on the Nikola Jokic hate bandwagon for years now. I mean, last season he said Nikola Jokic winning the MVP would be terrible for the league and he was the worst NBA MVP in years, which was obviously not true. And I've heard the argument from him several times that he says that advanced stats are the only reason why Nikola Jokic is gonna win, but again, that's just not true. I didn't know averaging 27, 14, and 8 on 58% from the field is such advanced stats. If those aren't MVP numbers for just the base and casual fan, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, at this point, the hate is just getting obvious.
Good news for Nuggets social media team. You'll be able to study those advanced analytics to understand them more when you get eliminated in round one. You'll have plenty of time.
Wait, aren't you a Knicks fan? You would know better than anyone getting out of the first. Wait, never mind. You guys don't even make the playoffs. But seriously, this is just hate at this point that is not even funny. It's just kind of sad. I don't know if he's trying to be like Skip Bayless and the way how he hates on LeBron, but there's a difference. I've came to the conclusion I don't think Skip Bayless actually hates LeBron James. It's a satirical thing. It's for ratings, and I'm not gonna lie, it's actually kind of funny. He knows it's not true. You and I both know it's not true. It's just a funny thing to do. But Skip Bayless is a funny person. I could actually watch Skip Bayless. I can't watch Nick Wright. He's boring as hell. And if Nick Wright is being satirical about the thing and he doesn't actually hate Nikola Jokic, he's really bad at showing it. Now, something else that a lot of people have been talking about when it comes to this MVP is what is the criteria, because Devin Booker is the best player on the best team and he's not even in the top 3, which is honestly confusing to a lot of people, including myself. Now, as a Suns fan, I obviously have a little bit of bias to want to make Devin Booker the MVP. However, we can all admit he has the stats for it. He's on a winning team. So what is the criteria? Because we don't know what it is, and if it keeps changing, then the MVP award is going to be just a very weird, complex thing. In 2017, it was based strictly off stats, and in that case, I honestly try to justify it in my head as, oh, Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double. Was some pretty legendary stuff. Let's give it to him this one time, but then he did it the following season, and we didn't give it to him. Mind you, when he was in OKC, they were a 6th seed, and they got bounced at the first round by another player in James Harden, who a lot of people thought should have won the MVP. Even years after, it's gone to players that are on some of the best teams. However, it seems like with Jokic, he's obviously not on one of the best teams. Now, last season, the Denver Nuggets were the 3rd seed in the Western Conference, so they were a top team in the West. However, this season, they're currently the 6th seed, and even though I've justified it and said, look, Joel Embiid might be a top seed in his conference, however, let's look at their record. At one point, they were neck and neck in record, but right now, the 76ers are currently up by 3 games. But no one even cared about that take, so I'm not even going to talk about it. But Nikola Jokic is on a low-seeded team again, and there is a possibility he could get bounced out the first round. So with Jokic winning MVP, does this solidify that every future MVP is just going to be based off stats, or are we going to go back to where it's about at winning. Because depending how you sway the NBA MVP and the different criterias and certain aspects will really depend on who's going to win the award. If we're going based off stats, you got to give it to Nikola Jokic. If we're going on a winning factor, you got to give it to Devin Booker. If we're going with the NBA media and who they're going to vote for, it's probably going to go for Joel Embiid. And those are just the first three things that came into my head. There's a bunch of other aspects you could look at, but it's starting to seem like the MVP is strictly based off stats. Now, even though I honestly wish it was based on winning and not just stats, okay, fine, let's make it about stats. Let's keep that same energy for the rest of voting for years to come. If LeBron James next season averages 35-6 while being the 5th seed, are we going to give him the award because he has the best stats? I would hope so, and if he's not, who are we going to give it to? Because this would just prove my point that the criteria and the goalposts, however you want to word it, keeps changing. Now, I'm not mad Nikola Jokic won MVP, and like I've said in the intro, I've been the person that's been on this for the whole entire season. You can check my channel as of the first couple months of the NBA season. I said Jokic should have won MVP, and I'm gonna stand by that because I've just accepted the fact that the NBA MVP is a stats award and they're not going to take winning into perspective. So when people like Nick Wright try to claim that Nikola Jokic doesn't deserve it because, oh, he's not on a winning team, then it's your fucking fault why that matters. You're the motherfucker that made this narrative happen. You're a part of the NBA media. You guys have stopped caring about winning, so you're such a hypocrite by saying that. Do not talk about Nikola Jokic and his stats and his advanced stats and everything he's doing and then try to say, oh, it doesn't matter because they're not winning. You and the group you're part of is a really big reason why winning is starting not to matter anymore. I think winning should have a factor in it, but I've kind of just given up on the fact because if winning had anything to do with it, then Devin Booker or Joel Embiid would be the MVP. I won't lie though, it sucks because guys like Nick Wright are the reason why the MVP race got a little bit toxic. It really started turning into a war and it just became something like, okay, if Jokic is my MVP, I gotta take down Joel Embiid, I gotta make fun of him, I gotta make reasons why he's not good. And I'm not defending Jokic fans, they've done the same with Embiid and vice versa with all the other MVP candidates. I don't think you should have to destroy a man to try to be above him. I just think that's wrong and I think it's honestly ignorant. If Jokic is the MVP, say he's the MVP. I think Joel Embiid's had an amazing season. I think Giannis has had an amazing season. Luka, Booker, all these other guys. But in my opinion, the one I've gone on for majority of the season, I have to say Nikola Jokic is the MVP. And I'm not going to tear down all the other candidates because that's not what you should do with an MVP race. You shouldn't have to take someone down just because you think that your player is better than them. I mean, Jokic and Embiid have literally praised each other's game and that's something you have to respect. Nikola Jokic deserved the NBA MVP last season and with the way he's played this season, I fully believe he does deserve it. This weird fucked up criteria the NBA media came up with, Nikola Jokic just happens to fit it and it's not his fault. He's just playing basketball. He's just a guy out there. However, Nick Wright, do not make a shitty video in your car on why Nikola Jokic winning the NBA MVP back-to-back years would be bad for the league. Don't try to comment on that fact and say that he isn't deserving of it because you have some bias towards him and other international players. Am I saying that Nick Wright has a problem with international players? I don't know, maybe I am. It wouldn't shock me, it really wouldn't. Just like Nikola Jokic winning back-to-back NBA MVPs, it doesn't shock me.